The buzzing fluorescent lights of the precinct couldn't hide the tension in the air. Then came a sharp, echoing crack that froze the room. Not a gunshot, but just as shocking. Detective K's hand hung midair, the realization slowly sinking in that he had crossed a line. Across from him, Dr. Evelyn Reed stood firm. Her cheek burned red, but there were no tears, no screams, just a slow, steady breath. Her calm voice barely hid the storm inside. "Do you know who you just hit?" she asked. Detective K smirked. "Think you're special? Some hotshot lawyer from downtown? This isn't your fancy Park Avenue office, sweetheart." Evelyn didn't answer. She glanced at the wall clock, 1:56 p.m., for minutes until everything changed. Her full name was Dr. Evelyn Reed, but here she wasn't wearing her judge's robe or badge. She was just a concerned citizen, here for 16-year-old Jamal, who had been unfairly detained. At the reception desk, her polite questions were met with dismissive laughter. "She thinks she's too good for the Bronx," Officer Miller sneered. Evelyn remembered his name. She found Jamal in an interrogation room, handcuffed, a bruise on his temple. No warrant, no witnesses, no crime. "I'm a family friend," she said calmly, asking why he was being held. Sergeant Davies slammed his hand on the table. "This isn't some bleeding heart charity meeting, lady. This is the NYPD. We do things our way." Then Detective K struck her. Evelyn's lips curved into the faintest smile. At 1:58 p.m., she took out her phone and made a short, firm call. "Precinct 17, room 302. Now." "Listen here, lady," Sergeant Davies began. "Sergeant," Evelyn cut in, "you're about to make the biggest mistake of your career. And you," she turned to Kay, "just signed your termination papers." At exactly 2 p.m., the door opened. 2 men and a woman entered, IDs pinned to their lapels. Internal Affairs. Federal Monitor. Davies paled. Kay's jaw tightened as fear crept in. "This man," Evelyn said, pointing at Kay, "has just assaulted a federal judge in the middle of her civic duty. My scheduled hearing has been moved here, effective immediately." In a heartbeat, the precinct turned from a place of intimidation to a courtroom. The slap became a federal case. Officers who once looked at her with contempt now looked at her with fear, the fear of real authority. Judge Dr. Evelyn Reed, the first African-American woman to serve as a federal district judge for the Southern District of New York, daughter of a Brooklyn home health aide, raised where sirens were a daily soundtrack, stood unshaken. She had faced prejudice before, but Detective K had no idea the quiet storm he had unleashed. As federal monitors questioned Davies, Evelyn spoke clearly. "Sergeant, this is the problem. You only show respect when you recognize the title. I was here as a woman, as a citizen, as a black person. And in that moment, you showed exactly who you are." The silence was heavy. Security footage was ordered. Jamal whispered, "You're really a judge?" Evelyn smiled softly. "I am Jamal. And today, you'll leave here with your dignity. They're the ones who'll be broken." An hour later, the hearing began. Evelyn, now in full command, demanded transparency. "What you did to me in daylight, you'll answer for in daylight." Kay's phone buzzed with panicked texts. He told himself it was nothing. It wasn't. The judge entered the makeshift courtroom, portfolio in hand. Her presence filled the space. "Do you know the name of the woman you assaulted?" she asked. He muttered, "Now I do." She placed a file on the table. "Do you know how many complaints have been filed against you?" 12. 12 complaints for abuse against black, poor, and marginalized people, all conveniently buried. "You didn't hit me because I did anything wrong. You hit me because my face, my skin, and my voice challenged your prejudice." Davies panicked. The court reporter's hands trembled. The assistant district attorney swallowed hard. Evelyn's voice stayed steady. Kay's lawyer tried weakly. "Your Honor, my client didn't know your position. And if I were a school teacher, a janitor, a single mother, would that make your client's violence acceptable? It's not about who I am, it's about who he is." Kay sat in shame, his uniform now a burden. Evelyn didn't flinch. Justice was coming. The prosecutor, Miss Albright, began reading the names of Kay's past victims. Marcus Jones, Letitia Brown, Dante Williams. All cases closed, all for lack of evidence. Miss Albright's voice was steady but sharp. We have a pattern here. We have a history. I was just doing my job. Detective K cutting quickly. These accusations are exaggerated. Evelyn didn't blink. If this is your job, officer, then you're a criminal in uniform, and the era of getting away with it ends now. The federal monitors didn't hesitate. Detective K was stripped of his badge and placed on administrative leave. Moments later, he was led away in handcuffs. The first domino had fallen. Evelyn knew this was only the start. She turned to Miss Albright. If this man had 12 prior complaints buried, then someone in this department has been protecting him. We need to dig deeper. Miss Albright's nod was firm. Within 24 hours, a federal inquiry began. Human rights groups were notified, and the media caught wind of the story. The silence inside the department cracked. Whispers turned into open accusations. Evelyn became more than just a judge in this case. She became a symbol. She gained access to hidden reports showing dismissed complaints, a culture of abuse, and a network determined to shield its own. With evidence in hand, Evelyn called a press conference. This isn't about one officer, she said to the cameras. It's about a system that normalizes the abuse of black and brown bodies. Silence in the face of racism is complicity. The headlines were explosive. 16 officers were placed on leave. Jamal's case was reopened. Security footage proved what Evelyn had said all along. He had been targeted for one reason only, his skin color. The charges against him were dropped. His mother wept in relief. If it weren't for Judge Reed, she whispered. Then an anonymous recording surfaced. That judge is trouble. We'll make her pay. Evelyn wasted no time contacting the Department of Justice for protection. The backlash came hard. Smear campaigns, threats, even fabricated evidence. But Evelyn had expected this. She went on television, telling her story to the nation. Hashtag #StandWithReed began trending worldwide. Support poured in from across the globe. Federal protection was assigned to her. The next morning, Evelyn walked back into court. I'm still here, she said simply. Her return became a statement of resilience. And then the real work began. More victims came forward. Corrupt officials lost their positions. A special task force was created. Anti-racism training became mandatory. Dozens of cases were reopened. Evelyn had become a national icon. I want this to be the new standard, she told the press. Detective K's appeals failed. The evidence against him was overwhelming. He was convicted and sent to prison. Protests turned into a movement. Murals of Evelyn appeared on the walls of the very precinct where it all began. The old silence was gone, replaced by voices demanding justice. Months later, the precinct was restructured from the inside out. Racism, once ingrained in its culture, began to fade, slowly replaced by awareness, accountability, and a new way forward.